Hello, this is Jimbo from the YouTube channel Jimbo, South Dakota, and this is the Hog House Chronicles podcast. And for the first time in about a year, we are back in the original studio in the back of the Hog House, and have a couple friends here with us. We're getting some younger folks on here, and one that is still in the military. We've had a couple like that, but Justin and Sami Joe Strutz. I know when you first came into the shop, where it was like Strutz is what we thought, whatever. But Strutz is kind of a cool name because somebody said, Justin Strutz, and I said, I bet he does. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started here, and that's how I met you for the first time today, I think.
I think so,
we've been in the same room maybe somewhere. But you ended up coming into our shop. But we're going to start first with where you grew up, and you can say whatever you want about your family and stuff, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. I grew up in Sioux Falls, born and raised there. Went to Washington High School. I have one younger sister, small, close-knit family. I only have one aunt and uncle. That's about it. Now I have two aunts, but my uncle got married. Other than that, really small family, born and raised in South Dakota.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how about you, Sami Joe? Or do you like Sami or Sami Joe?
I go by both.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like you can really call me anything. My dad and my sister call me Sam, and they're the only ones that get the privilege to call me Sam. And Justin calls me Samantha, but Sami Joe doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I was born in Huron. I grew up in Chancellor, South Dakota. Graduated from Parker High School, and same. I have a very small family, not a lot of extended family, and just one older sister of 7 years, and small, close-knit family, and yeah, pretty basic.
Okay. Did you know about the Air National Guard in Sioux Falls before you started looking into the military?
I guess not really. I didn't know anything about it. I heard the jets fly over, and we went to the air show all the time. Beyond that, though, no.
But at least you knew we were here.
I knew of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything, really.
Yeah, the greater majority don't even know, in other towns, too, that they have an Air National Guard in their town. So were you considering active duty at all, or were you just start right from the Guard?
Yeah, so my mom was in the Army National Guard, and she's like, I really don't want you to do that, but if you really want to, go ahead. My uncle was in the Marine Corps for 8 years. He did quite a few tours in Afghanistan and that kind of stuff. So I know that I really didn't want to do that either. That just didn't really interest me. Like some people see it and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go fight in war and this and that." I didn't have that as a high schooler. And then I think one day the Air Guard came to Washington High School, and so then I got to looking at it and I looked into it, and then I got in touch with Jordan as a recruiter, and he's like, come on out, and I can show you around. And so he showed me and my dad around. I'm like, yeah, I think I want to sign up. And so he's like, all right, well, I'll start all this paperwork, this and that. And I was 17 at the time, so my dad had to sign off on it. And from there, Jordan drove me around base, and so I picked my job too. I picked AFE, and he gave me a list. We drove to all the shops. I'm like, well, I think I like that one the most. He's like, perfect.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah, aircrew flight equipment.
Yeah.
And I found that interesting that you said you were going to join up before you chose a job, because a lot of them will go and see what the jobs are
what's
to begin
open.
with. But that means you really wanted to be in there. So
I did, yeah. And I know now it's kind of crazy that it's super hard to get a job in the Air Guard right now. It's just completely full. People just aren't getting out anymore, and I know they have a huge waiting list going on right now, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, this unit's usually done pretty good with recruiting.
And retention, too, yeah.
Because I had a chance to travel to a bunch of different units doing staff assistance visits and stuff, and a lot of them, were, maybe 85% manned, something like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you always have the time period where there's, some of the jobs that are harder to fill. They'll have better bonuses and things like that. But, it takes a little bit more to get somebody to sign up for those. But you were straight up. I'm coming in and going to choose a job then.
No bonus either.
Oh, yeah.
No bonus.
Yeah, very seldom does our crew fill that.
And never.
Yeah, there may have been a time where there was, I don't know if it was an initial bonus or a sign-on bonus or for re-enlisting, but if there was, it was short-lived.
Very short-lived,
kind of
yeah,
deal,
before my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that the Air National Guard was here, F-16s, or have any idea that we had fighter jets in the area?
I mean, yeah, but I don't like Justin has, some family members who are in the military, and I guess I never looked at going into the military or even like interest of it, just because probably because I didn't have a lot of like personal experiences of like somebody I know or like something close or anything like that. But I mean, like the school things, where like they come and talk and they do the school presentations and all those things, you hear about it. And we had a few people that went into the military, but like when I was in school, but nothing that like I like deep dived and learned about because it didn't really interest me too much until I met Justin.
Yeah, and a lot of them, wouldn't really know the difference between the Guard and the active duty Air Force anyway, unless they were really descriptive on what type of recruiter was there at the time. So, you answered the question of having some military members in the family. Did you have any military members at all that you know of in your family?
I probably do, but like I said, I came from a pretty close-knit family. None of my grandparents are alive anymore, and I don't have a ton of aunt and uncles, and anyone on my mom's side isn't in the military. So, I don't think I like, especially in my like close personal thing. I feel like now as an adult, I have a ton of people in the military that are in my life, like even people that I don't know through Justin, but not growing up, I don't have any like personal. I remember like my sister one time looked into like going into the military, and my mom like had a complete like panic attack, and I was like, all right, that's all I need.
That's
like,
pretty normal for moms. There's nothing bad about that, moms.
Yeah.
It's such a small number of people that go into the military anyway. Like 1% or a little less. Anyhow. So, what did you enjoy learning the most? Like at the tech school, or even basic training, but you learned about a lot of different equipment in tech school as well. So
yeah, I think I know Sammy's favorite part of my tech school is learning how to sew. She makes me use that skill all the time, I'd say.
Yeah.
Fixing. I mean, honestly, whatever. I mean, it's such a valuable skill that not a lot of people know how to do anymore, and it's something that you have a $100 jacket that the pocket has a rip in it and your stuff falls out of your pocket. Well, how are you going to fix that? I mean, you're going to take it into somebody and pay for it. I mean, I can fix it in 5 seconds. So I would say that is probably one of the most valuable skills I learned. And I mean, it's something you can always use too.
Yeah.
So.
And it kind of has a stigma a little bit about sewing. But yeah, I tell you what. And when the parachute shop was still separate from the life sport shop, because we merged and came together in 2008.
Yep.
But before and after that, but mostly after, if we had a new person come into the shop and they were learning a bunch of the other equipment, but then, maybe somebody needed a break from that, or it was just time to learn something in the parachute shop, and we had tons of scraps of material. So I was like, go home and measure your grill or something like that, and just come in, and somebody can tell you just a few things about it, but you can learn how to do the seams yourself, corners, angles, all that.
It was literally not that long ago that I had like 3 pairs of jeans with holes in the knee. And guard drill weekend, it took me 3 minutes to fix 3 pairs of jeans, right away. And now they're good as new. So I'm like, can't beat that. The only people that make fun of it are the people that can't do it.
Exactly.
So that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, because we fix G suits, flight jackets.
And everybody on the base too is like, oh, hey, take that up to AFE so they can sew it for us quick. Oh, sounds good.
Yeah. And there are a bunch of small projects, that come up.
Tons.
Like pencil holders, snap
Earmuff
holders for your earmuffs, all that kind of stuff. So it is kind of nice when you can do favors for different shops like that, and then they kind of pay you back somehow too.
Usually.
Yeah. Yep. Have you gone overseas yet at all?
Never. Nope. Was supposed to go to Iceland in 2020. Was super excited. It's gonna be me and Ben and one other person in our shop. And like, what was it? I mean, 2 weeks before I went, it got canceled. Like we were like, my stuff was ready to go. Like we were packed.
Mhm.
We were ready to go, and they're like, nope, no more guard drill, and no Iceland. And we're like, I know even Ben had his families. He was going to book their plane tickets once we got there for them to come over, because back then it was, I think he said it was like $450 a person for them to come over, and they're going to be able to stay in Iceland and do all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that would have been awesome. Like, could you imagine if we would have gotten to go? But no, we haven't had any trips like that come up. I went to Georgia in 2021, 2020 to the end of 2020. So we didn't have, after that trip, we haven't had anything really come up, because we had a lot of people that were new and young. I think only one person on the trip for AFE had been somewhere overseas.
Mm-hmm.
So the rest, everybody else was completely new to it. So
Yeah, I'd
it was
forgotten about
young
that
blood.
Iceland one, because March of 2020 is when it really hit.
yeah.
And
And I think we left like 1 April to 14 April, I want to say. I think it was like, yeah, the first 2 weeks of April that we were supposed to be there.
mm-hmm.
And then COVID came out like mid-March, like heavy mid-March, and then that was it.
Yeah,
Canceled.
and that made my my last time frame in retirement kind of different. You know, before retiring, I'm saying, because I retired in November of 2020. So
Yep.
you know, that time period was, like you said, we weren't going to guard drills.
No big party upstairs, none of that type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and even the full-time force, they split in half. You know.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
remember that. That was goofy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
One thing with guard drill, because we were assigning work for people to do at home,
Yeah.
and the computer work was always what happened last all the time.
Yep.
So during those first couple guard drills, everybody got everything done on the computer, CBTs and everything. It was
Yep.
like, okay, now we got to come up with some more stuff
Yep.
for people to truly earn their paycheck, because, we have to do that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So people were, supervisors were getting new ideas on how to make things happen and stuff.
And I know it was nice too. I think if you wanted to, you could take it just off. You could just take guard drill off. And I think that's what I did. I don't think that I did anything like that, because I know we were gone April, May, and possibly June, but for sure April and May we weren't at guard drill. Like for sure we weren't.
Yeah, and you can get what's called a good military year without making up every guard drill or whatever,
Yep.
especially if you had a 2-week camp in there somewhere.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and you, Sammy Joe, I didn't ask about hobbies yet, but you have continued on with your hobby. So, tell us about your hobby and how early you got started and how you got started.
Yeah, I feel like the two hobbies that are pillars in my life are hunting and dogs. I do a lot of other fun little things. Like I'm really into photography.
Amateur pickleball player.
Amateur pickleball player. I have taken up that. I was on a winning
That's
streak.
not an old man sport.
No, we go hard.
Usually
we are
every week.
Yeah,
About every week.
It's just been I love to be a student of things, so I never want to grow stagnant. And pickleball was a great little learning curve for me, and I've had a ton of fun doing it. So now it's just competition. So I have to find something new to learn. But no, it's really good. But yeah, I feel like I have a few other hobbies like photography. I said I love to travel. I love to small details in life really matter to me, and all these fun things. But the two pillars I have is my dogs and hunting. So I've done that since that's just been in my life since I've grown up. My dad only had 2 daughters, and my older sister, she never took a liking to being in the field and hunting and fishing and doing all those things. And I did. I was my dad's co-pilot his whole life. And so then, going into my adult life, I knew, I was going to go into dogs, and I knew that I was never going to stop hunting. So then when I met Justin, obviously, that kept growing and leading into a lot of other stuff. But it's always just been like two pillars in my life of they're never going to go away. And I don't think that I would be as passionate about them if I didn't grow up doing them.
Mm-hmm. Well, and being active, like even in the sports, the pickleball and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're out hunting and doing
Yeah.
things and hanging with the dogs and you train dogs, right?
Yes.
Why
Yeah.
don't you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So I work for Paws Pet Resort. They had in February, it'll be 7 years that the company is open. And I have been there since before Paws opened. So Janine is the owner, and we have clicked it off since the beginning. And I went to school for dog training. So how I got more like professional career into dog training is when you're a senior in high school, you have to pick a senior project to graduate, and you spend all year doing it and all these things. And I was like, it's kind of my military experience. I was like, I am going to get a dog, and I'm going to train it to be a service dog, and I'm going to give it to a veteran.
Oh, nice.
And so I went through that process, and I got my Shepherd Blue, and I went through the whole process of training her because I already had all this interest in this past dog training experience. But I wanted to like take it to the next level. I wanted to learn something new. And I was about like halfway through the project, and I just learned so much about myself and dog training and everything in that. But I learned that my dog wasn't a good candidate to be this service dog for, and I think it's just because I have high standards. I learned how to have higher standards for dog trainers or dog training in general, and especially service dogs that are going to be in public. So then I also realized I can't give this dog up. Like, I just have poured years and blood and
That doesn't
sweat and
surprise me
tears.
at all.
And it just was like a connection that I didn't really think I was going to make. And so we got super attached, and I was like, I really am good at this. I really like doing this. It's just like a whole different level. So when I graduated high school, I was like, before I graduated, I was like, what am I going to do? And I went down and toured a dog training school in Hutto, Texas, and ended up going there. And then I came back, and Paws was opening. So it was like God's timing of putting me into that place. And yeah, I've been there, and I've watched the company grow from the ground up. So that's been really cool. We opened a second building, and I'm the head trainer there and like general manager, but really it's just a title of all the things that I know how to do. But I love to train dogs, and I love to educate. Like, I call myself an educator. I love to educate people, and I love to educate dogs. So it just kind of works together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you sound like you're very well spoken, so you could probably explain things pretty well. Sorry, I got a few flies in here. Still the hog house.
Like I think some people will be like, oh, I'm going to go into dog training because I love dogs. And I have to tell people, like, that's my number one advice when people are looking into going to dogs. Is I'm like, I don't care how much you love dogs. You have to love people, because if you are going to train dogs, if you're not training that person, you're going to be wasting your time, the person's money, all of those things. So for me, like, I love my clients. Like, so many people have just became such like deep family and friend connections because I've just gotten to know so many people that I didn't get to know because of dogs. So I love educating people, and I love educating dogs.
What was that guy on TV? Caesar?
Oh, yeah.
Was it Romero or whatever?
Cesar Millan.
Milan.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he always talked about he trains people.
Yeah.
When the people aren't standing there and he's on camera, he's like, yeah, I train people, and he says something else that I do something with dogs. But I train people.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but
For sure. Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's a talent, and that's not a talent that very many people can do successfully, I think. And sometimes I compare it to being a doctor and a veterinarian. Veterinarians, their patient can't tell them where it hurts even.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. So dealing with animals and just learning more about how they behave as much as you can on how they think, it's quite a talent.
Yeah.
And for you to have the love of it that you do, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I do. So. Yeah, it's definitely an industry you get burnt out to pretty easy because you have a lot of people who don't put the time. Like, you can throw hours and heart and soul into this dog, and you'll have owners that don't do anything after 2 weeks, and you just watch that dog regress. And so that you get a lot of that. And I feel like it's hard work. It's not like a desk job doing this, that, and the other thing. Like, it's physical. You have to be on your feet. You have to be really self-motivated and all these things. And when you look into that aspect, it's easy to get burnt out. So I try to like be passionate about things with the dogs that aren't just the basic obedience. So like I love hunting with my dogs, and I love dogs being able to do what they were bred for, and people like learn about that. So I can fill my cup up when somebody brings me like a lab that they want to hunt with, and I can, give them some tips and tricks of things that they can do in the field. And then they get to do something more than just live with their dog. They get to like have that bond, and they get to do something, and they get to bring their dog along. I love when people like live out what their dog is bred for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because your dog probably doesn't know when class is over.
Yeah.
They're just living and wanting to please you. And,
yeah.
There's no real bell at the end of class for those guys. So
Nope.
you got to act appropriately all the time with your dog.
You do, yeah.
I suppose.
I tell everyone, like, dogs are masters of manipulation and anticipation. So I tell people, like, if you don't want it to happen, don't allow it. And some people aren't very good at that, like, because, they'll be like, class is over. I want my dog to listen, but they go home and they're not really doing much. So, it is one of those things of just educating people and also teaching them about dogs of like, hey,
Sure.
you can't let this slide unless you want it to slide every other time.
Right. Speaking of motivation, did you have any other motivations with joining the Guard and the military? Did you know about the GI Bill? Did you plan on getting an education on it, or how did that all play out?
Yeah, so I know, well, one of the biggest things everybody says they want to be in the military for college and this and that. I was okay with getting a guard drill check, and getting my 2-week camp check. And I didn't really look at the benefits. It was just, to me at the time, it was just another part-time job, honestly. And now knowing how cheap health insurance is, and that's the main reason why I'm still in is, you really can't find the quality and the price of insurance that you can being in the Guard.
Yeah, that TRICARE is huge.
Huge, yeah. It's some people, there's jobs out there that health insurance is completely unaffordable for people. So now knowing that, I'm glad that is a benefit, but I knew that the GI Bill was a benefit. I'm an electrician, a journeyman electrician in the civilian side. So I went to an apprenticeship program, and that actually qualified for Montgomery GI Bill. But back then, I'm talking, it was like $150 a month, maybe, so it was just a nice little check, I guess. But it was only like you had to submit it like in 3-month increments. So I'd get a check for like $450 every 3 months or whatever. It was nice when you're 19 years old. It was great, but
right. And if you did have a chance to go overseas, especially in a combat zone, then you could get that
post 9/11
GI Bill, which was quite a bit more lucrative. But I kind of like the fact of what you said about just the part-time Guard check was enough for you, because that meant that you wanted to be in there, you wanted to serve.
Exactly.
And when you first went in, did you plan on, I'm going to stay till I retire at 20, or was it like test it out?
I was like, you know what? If I absolutely love it and I stay in for 20 years, great. If I hate it and I get out in 6, great. I went in, I think, with zero expectation of how long I was going to stay in. I really didn't think one way or another. There's a possibility. Looking at it now, I'm probably going to do 20 years. But when I joined, I had no expectation of how long I was going to stay in.
So what part of you or your personality gels with being a military member?
For sure, like serving people. Yeah, that's by far the main one.
And that's the one you need for our career field, because aircrew flight equipment, for those of you who don't know, we take care of all the equipment that the pilots fly with. And now we pack parachutes and stuff as well. And we used to actually put them in the ejection seat.
Really?
I wish you would have had a chance, and some of you younger folks would have a chance to do that. And when we merged in 2008, our career field was taken off the airplane. But that's where we were out there. You got to learn stuff about the cockpit of the jet. You got to meet more of the maintenance guys. But when we merged with Shoot Shop, we were doing everything in the two shops, which is a lot more than what people think.
A lot more.
It
Yeah.
it brought the curve field down quite a bit, having to know so much. But people learn it, and we keep our pilots safe. Yeah,
Especially our unit, we got a good track record.
Yeah,
We got a good track record.
Yep, and we can get called pilot babysitters, this and that.
Yeah.
But I was like you. I liked providing. I liked serving in a good sense of that word.
Yeah, good way.
Kind of thing. So far as I don't know how many low points you've had, but the high points and the low points in military career or just life in general, what have you learned from the extremes of those two?
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of high points. I mean, I like going to guard drill every weekend. I know some people might not. I mean, these people you only get to see once a month. You get to go hang out, have lunch with them, go walk around the building and talk. And so I do enjoy going to guard drill. For a while there, we had a bunch of turnover, like a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
So for a while there, it was kind of rough. I mean, honestly, it was just a lot of new things happening, new people coming in,
getting some of us old ones out,
people going out.
Me
Yeah.
and I'll say at least two others that I know of that are in my generation.
Yeah.
We just had to purge ourselves out of your shop so you could start more fresh.
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to say that.
So, and once all that happened, like I feel like our shop right now is a well-oiled machine. There's no drama, I guess you could say, or anything like that. It's just we go to guard drill, we have a good time, we go eat lunch, do equipment, do programs, do whatever you got to do on guard drill, and we go home.
Yeah, because you're doing your job that whole 16 hours, but you can have fun doing it.
Exactly.
Enjoying people. I am so glad to hear that because,
Yeah.
Through 35 years worth of that, I've seen a lot of the pendulum swing, up and down, up and down. And I'm really glad to hear that you're up, and I hope that plateau just keeps going, that it doesn't have any swings.
And I'm sure, when I first joined, nobody stayed around after guard drill for a while there. I'd say like a little bit before COVID till about 2021, 2022. As soon as 4:30 hit, gone. Now, I mean, we have no problem, having a beer somewhere. We'll even go out after guard drill and hang out. I mean, that's not uncommon anymore at all. And when I first, I'd say like about in the middle of my first 6 years, it was 4:30 hit, everybody's gone.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't talk to these people at all. And that was just it. So, but now I keep up with pretty much everybody in the shop, throughout the month. So
I am really glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Because that's the way, we were years ago, and stuff. The 90s were good to me.
Oh, I'm sure.
The early 2000s were good too, but
Yeah.
had a lot of good times, and I've mentioned it before in other podcasts that my wife used to kind of give me crap about, and like on the civilian side, there's a lot of people that are like, this is work and this is my private life. And but in the military, I mean, you go worldwide with these people, and you haven't had that chance yet, but you will.
Yeah.
And the bonding that you're talking about, just wait till you go, especially to a combat zone and back. And we stay within the fences and stuff, so it's relatively safe, kind of thing. But
and even just going to Georgia for 3 months, I mean, you get to know a lot of people that. I mean, we're not doing it. Once we're off, and then you get to know a lot of people and just being around them for that amount of time all the time. So,
yeah, excellent. All right, talking about being around people. When was it that you two started hanging around?
We met in 2017.
Yeah.
So I was going to school. I was leaving. We met in June, I think. And then in August, I went to Texas, and we started dating on 4th of July. And in August, I left to go to Texas. And then I came home, and then he went to basic.
the following July.
So the first year and a half that we were dating, we spent half of it away from each other. So yeah, in 2017, we that's when we started dating, and then a lot of travel and a lot of space in between that. And then we bought our house in 2020, and so now we've just been in home based in Sioux Falls this whole time, and we love it.
We got married last year.
Yep, we got married last year. So
Awesome. Congratulations.
yeah, it's been good.
So the first date or the first time you got together, did you know she hunted or?
Yeah, I kind of
Did you-
knew. Yeah, I met her, and I met your parents on the 4th of July too, and I knew that her dad pheasant hunted quite a bit. We talked about it.
Because you're a huge outdoor guy.
Huge, yeah. I'd say the difference was though she really only pheasant hunted, and all I did was waterfowl hunt. I maybe went on one youth hunt a year with my buddy and on a preserve where we were shooting like chickens, and that was the extent of my pheasant hunting. There was no other pheasant hunting for me compared to where she grew up around that.
But waterfowl, that's the early, cold,
Oh, yeah.
wet, miserable,
It's pretty
could
miserable.
be miserable. and
Very
that was his
miserable.
love?
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
waterfowl?
yeah. So
Did he get you into it? I think I saw some pictures. I was
Well-
creeping on your Facebook a little bit.
yeah, no, like just a good question because I just loved to hunt, and when we first started like talking, I feel like that was probably like a strong connection that we had, was obviously like being outdoors and hunting and stuff. And I had gone waterfowl hunting a few times, but it wasn't like it was people probably doing it as like a hobby on duck opener type of thing. It wasn't like we're scouting and we're doing all the things. But it was kind of perfect timing because when I got out of school, I knew that I grew up with hunting labs, but I knew that I wanted to go into like a finished retriever and do hunt tests, and that's very waterfowl based. So it actually gave me a lot of opportunity to have Justin because we had access to waterfowl, and my dog got a ton of waterfowl experience, and that's primarily what he's trained in. I couldn't pheasant hunt him for a few years because I wanted him to be steady and I wanted him to mark and do all those things. So it actually worked out perfect because my dad just ran upland dogs. So I was like, well, I want my lab to do this. I want him to run blinds. I want him to be control. And my dad just thought I was crazy because he's like, we got to go shoot some pheasants. But my dad was a pheasant guide. So yeah, I grew up pheasant hunting and deer hunting here and there. And that was primarily what I did. And you primarily did waterfowl. So now it's all meshed.
Yeah.
We do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, which rolls us into the fishing side of the house.
That's
how
all
did
me.
that all tie in?
That's all Justin.
That's all you?
That's all me. Sammy is.
Justin doesn't bring me fishing.
We've maybe fished together like twice, three
Yeah.
times.
Well,
One
part
time-
of that is a reason that we'll work our way up to here. But go ahead
Yeah.
and continue.
So one of the first times Sammy came up to my parents' campground, where we're like, all right, and me and in the summertime, my parents had a permanent camper at Lake Thompson. We would go there every weekend, and me and my dad would fish all day, every day, or until we caught our 8 walleyes, whichever was first.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sammy's comes with. She gets the privilege of coming with me and my dad. And so,
Like the first time I've spent the weekend with your family.
and it's
the
no
privilege.
snacks.
Did you hear that, Sam?
Yeah, you got the privilege.
It's no snacks, nothing to drink. We were there to fish. That is it. That's all. We're there to fish. And so
And that's not what I'm used to.
Sammy's not used to that.
Well, my dad knew that he had to take care of me when I was gone with hunting, so he always provided me with good snacks.
Yeah. So she comes fishing, have a big walleye on, and Sammy decides that she's going to be the net person.
The thing that Justin's also leaving out though is that
He sides.
Yeah.
he gets
Decided.
very excited whenever he like gets anything, and anybody who hunts or fishes with Justin is going to know this 1,000,000% true. They're probably nodding their heads. Is that literally Justin, when he is like has something on the line or he's got ducks about to finish or anything, it is like, I don't know, probably equivalent to his adrenaline of jumping out of a plane. Like it's so loud, it's so crazy, it's so wild. So he's like yelling and screaming to get all
Not
the
yelling.
things, very much passionately talking. And you told me to get the net, and obviously I'm not a good netting person.
Knocked it right off.
Oh.
Just net, bam, off. That was good.
Didn't lead the fish and let you pull into
No.
it.
He didn't prep me either, though. That's probably the first time I've ever had to like net a fish, and
You are you are totally normal if you've never
Yeah.
done that before
Yeah.
to have something like that happen. But
Yeah.
I
Yep.
could just imagine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was like in that phase of like he was so pissed, but yet he didn't want to like make me feel bad, but he still made me feel bad. And like thank goodness your dad was there because your dad was like, it's fine, and he just can laugh about it now.
Yeah.
And
It's a funny story we talk about quite often now.
yeah.
Well, my brother used to fish a lot, and he worked over in Sioux Center, and he worked night shift. So you talk about the seriousness of fishing. He would work all night shift, and he would be to my place here, and he's 45 minutes away, by like 5 o'clock, and worked all night. Then we would drive over to Fort Randall Dam,
Yep.
and a lot of times we were below dam
Yep.
in the fast water. And as soon as we got there, we would put that boat in, and we'd have a little bit of food, but fish all the way till midnight. And I'm talking when it's cold too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then we would pull the boat out, and he's also very thrifty. And, I didn't have a ton of money when I moved into this place. So we would just drive with the boat and the truck up and just park on the side of the road. And we'd sleep from like 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. Then you're up again, and you got that water back in, or the boat back in the water at 4:15, and you would all the way till late afternoon, and then drive home. And you sleep a couple hours and go right back to work. That's what I was thinking of when talking about you and your seriousness.
I mean, that's you during league. He'll come home at like 2 a.m. because he's driving from a lake that's an hour and a half away. And then, you have to be to work at 6:30. And that's just,
Yeah, I fish the Lake Area Walleye Club. So it's Wednesday nights, every other Wednesday night, and it's usually like the first week of May. I think we're going into the 16th season. I haven't fished it for 16 seasons. I think this is probably my fifth year doing it.
probably.
Yeah, fifth year doing it. We had a good year this year. We ended up winning 2 league events, which is very hard to do. There's 60 some boats in each night, all the way up to, we had it on Big Stone Lake, and there were 71 teams. So, and these are the best of the best East River fishermen that I know of. There's all these guys that are guides, and I respect that, but guide fishing and tournament fishing is completely different. You're a guide, you're there to get these people their 4 walleyes. That's it. They can be 15 inches to 30, right? And these people don't care. But it take and what I mean, the tournament fishing is you have to make the right decisions, especially because you can only have one fish over 20. So if you catch a 23 in the first 15 minutes, you're going to keep it. Some people would, some people wouldn't.
Right.
So we ended up winning 2 league events. One was on Dry Lake number 2, and that's up by like Willow Lake up there. That was a big win. That was our first win ever in the league event. And like I said, it is the best of the best walleye fishermen on this side of the state. And even in Minnesota, we have guys from Minnesota, Iowa. I think there's a Nebraska team even. So we get everybody.
And
then,
do you have the same partner through that whole?
Yep.
I mean, is like you have to have the same partner through the whole thing, or is
so
it
you have
team
to
game?
sign up as a team. You can have subs. You can have substitutes if your other partners can't make it. But you're in it to win it. Like, you're not going to let somebody just go take your spot.
Right.
So it was all 3 of us every event, and it's like a ritual. We would probably go up. It's on a Wednesday, so we'd usually go up Tuesday night.
Well, you'd pre-fish.
Yeah, we'd pre-fish Tuesday night, usually the weekend before, even depending on how the schedule landed. I would sometimes, if it's Lake Thompson, we're going up Friday, and we'll come home late Wednesday night.
Did you say 3?
5.
Or as far as people on your team?
Yeah, 3 people on our team.
3 on your team.
Yep.
Now, 3 fish all the time, or is it like 2 of the 3 that fish?
Nope, all 3 of us all the time. Yep, all 3 of us fishing all the time.
So then, if one of them can't make it, you can sub somebody in.
Yep.
Okay.
We've never subbed anybody on the history of our team. We've never subbed ever, not one time.
Yeah, because when I saw the picture, because you told me when I was visiting work once, you told me that you had won that, and I think there's a picture of you and one other guy.
Yeah, so that was a different tournament circuit. So that's the
Okay.
Masters Walleye circuit. So it's like if you're in the Sioux Falls Skyforce for the NBA, like the like the Skyforce for the Miami Heat. Like that's like the type of tournament. It's like right below the pro level. We were on a Bitter Lake. It was on Bitter Lake, and we ended up winning that tournament. And that was 83 boats.
Wow.
And when I talk about best of the best, that's best of the best from everywhere that want to travel to Bitter Lake and fish that tournament.
And that was a 2-man team, and you guys
Two-man
got first.
team. Yep, we won it. We took home the trophies.
Yeah, pretty decent check too, from what I saw.
Yeah, it was. That tournament, man. I think I was up there all week. I think I had to have been.
I don't know.
Because it's usually on a Friday, Saturday, and I think I left probably Tuesday night, Tuesday morning.
She was busy training dogs.
Yeah. Usually during fishing, I'm just like, I know I'm going to be home alone for the next how many days, but
I spent a lot of time on Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I was out there for 8 days fishing that's a national team championship. So that's like all these small walleye leagues all over the country can get bids for this big tournament, 300 boat tournament, actually in South Dakota this year down at Pickstown. So we qualified for that this year. And it's a 300 boat tournament. It's Thursday, Friday, All-American 25, make it to Saturday, and you fish for a brand new Ranger boat. It's like a $100,000 boat.
I couldn't even imagine the chaos of getting that many boats in and out.
You know,
Especially in.
Yeah, you'd think so, but when you're like, I could me and my partner have it so down. Like I know I could probably count how many seconds it takes him to drive it on the trailer before I start pulling out. Like that's how dialed all these people are that, you know, I don't even stop. Like I don't even stop. When I'm backing up, I just back down the ramp, slam on the brakes, pushes the boat off the trailer, and he drives away and then comes picks me up.
That's nothing but a
pickup
group
doesn't
of
even stop.
professionals there.
Yeah.
You know, doing that. For
Exactly.
Sure.
So it goes pretty quick. But yeah, it's in Pickstown this year. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna be down there for a long time.
When so with that one, is there a certain weekend is like the big weekend, or what was going through my head was maybe I'd like to go down and watch one of these or something. But
Yeah, so it's they set the schedule that we fished, the Bitter Lake tournament that we won, the Masters Walleye Circuit, that was set back in July of 23. So we knew last year that they were coming to Bitter Lake in August. So it's always set, like the schedule for next year has already been out since August. So it's set a year in advance, so you can kind of pick and choose which ones you're going to go to and do that. But this big one is, I think it's like the third weekend of June, I believe. So,
man,
yeah,
that's
awesome.
that's some serious stuff. I
Yeah.
wonder if there's any man and wife teams that are as good at launching boats as like you guys are.
There is. I saw a team of a husband and a wife take fourth place on Green, or it was either fourth or fifth place on Green Bay, and they were dialed in, catching almost 8-pounders cast after cast on Green
Nothing
Bay.
against women, but we have seen some times down at like Platte Creek and stuff where people are just having trouble
Oh yeah.
or yelling at each other, you know,
Yeah.
directions.
Oh, that's
that mean
exactly how it
nothing.
would go.
Oh, that would be us for sure. Yeah.
Have you ever fished like Lake Erie, like over Put In Bay or anything?
Never gone that far. I want to get to Erie at some point. Green Bay is the biggest water I've fished. I mean, you look at Green Bay on the map and you're like, oh, that's not, you know, compared to Lake Michigan, you're like, oh, it's not that big.
Yeah, but Lake Michigan's like a small
I know.
ocean.
And then you get out there and you're like, what? Like, we don't even have enough gas to drive from one end to the other,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you got to pick which way you're going to go at that tournament. Because if you go south, you can't go north. So, because a lot of times they have, you know, and then they have on water refueling. You know, you can go get gas in certain like boat ramps. But a lot of times, like, can you imagine trying to look at the gas pumps around Sioux Falls? I mean, they can't even maintain all of them all the time. So imagine trying to do it at a boat ramp. So a lot of times they were down. So, and you got to be up on that too. If you're going to run that far, you got to make sure that you can get gas, because it's illegal in the tournament rules. You cannot put gas in your boat. Like, you can't take 10 5-gallon cans and put them in the back of the boat. Mostly because I think it's like EPA stuff dumping gas in the water, which makes
It's a safety
sense.
thing. Yeah,
Safety thing
that too.
Yeah, spilling gas all over, and I get it, and I think it's good because, like I said, tournament fishing comes down to making the right decision.
It's like planning fuel in an aircraft almost, you know, kind of deal. And it's big water too, because I went once with my brother to put in bay and one of his sons. But I mean, that's big water, so them waves can come up.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and we were out there and a big old fog came in. You couldn't see anything.
Nothing.
We're like, holy cow, that was a little scary.
The other thing you have to watch out for, which we didn't know was a thing until we got there, is all the big ships. The wake that they put out will swamp your boat if you're not watching out. And it was completely glass on Green Bay, and it's nothing like I've ever, like all the locals were like, it's been no wind. It's been no wind for like a week. And all of a sudden we're driving, and you just see a wall of water come like rolling around. And we're like stopping, like, what is that? Like, what is that in the water? And it ended up being the biggest waves I've ever seen, and just smashing over the front of the boat. But I mean, luckily we slowed down and stopped. But
Right.
I'm like, well, I guess now that's a thing, because we could see the container ship way down the way, and we're like, holy cow, that's a huge wake still. And the
So-
waves have nowhere to go.
Do you guys do any recreation stuff on the boats at all, or around a boat?
No,
Or are you just like, you're not on the water kind of person?
no, I'll be on the water. Like I've coordinated a few trips for a company called Her Wilderness, which gets girls out into the field. And like we've gone to Lake Michigan for salmon fishing before, and I've gone on like a couple ice fishing trips, and we hosted
did one
like
in South Dakota.
Yeah, I did a South Dakota walleye one and stuff. So I'm fine being on the water, but no, like recreationally, I just feel like we have so many hobbies right now that if we were to buy a boat, we're like, he wants an extreme like fishing boat, but like I want one that we can like bring the dogs and have fun and like
Sure.
host people and do those things. So it's like finding that balance. But like that's not in the cards for us right now.
No.
Is there anything that you guys do that like isn't like outdoorsman related? That's fine if the answer's no, because being outdoorsman is great.
I feel like Justin and I do a lot with like our friends, and we love to travel and like, and I mean like travel as in like not necessarily like go outdoors, but like we love concerts, we love traveling and seeing new places and doing all the fun stuff. And we have like a good group of friends that we get to like experience that with and have that type of stuff. But other than that, I feel like most of our stuff is outdoors.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything other than pickleball. Pickleball is just taking over our life.
I think all
Both
the
of yous?
time.
Yeah, he plays too.
Oh, I
yeah.
love pickleball. Yeah. I think, honestly, all of our traveling except for Mexico it's all hunting.
Well, we like go to like Nashville and things
Yeah, we
like
went to- yeah,
that.
stuff like
you know,
that,
like
yeah.
something where we can like see a new place or go to like a specific concert. We go to a lot of concerts.
We do.
We like a lot of like music, country music usually, but we love to go to concerts and traveling wherever that takes us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. First time I saw you out in the workforce besides in the Guards was Shields.
Oh, yeah.
How long did you work there?
I worked there for 3 years.
And you were in the service department. You told me
Yeah,
you
I was
actually
customer
liked
service.
working there. A lot of people don't like customer
No.
service, but that's what you were talking about
Yeah.
earlier, and that proves it.
I love customer service. I mean, it was never a dull moment, ever. I mean, I saw everything. I mean, people trying to return stuff that clearly wasn't from Shields. People that thought they could return shoes after they wore them for 6 months because they didn't like them anymore. It's like you never knew what you were going to get. Every time somebody walked through that sliding door, you had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah.
It could have been something they stole from Dick's Sporting Goods, and then we're going to try to bring it to Shields to return.
Right.
And I was the guy that got to find out, oh, we don't sell that here. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, the only thing I questioned is I had to replace my Leatherman pouch. And you had to have your birthday and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like wondering why, kind of deal. And I know they don't have any choice over it, but
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like a knife, but it's a pouch, kind
Yeah.
of thing. But it had to be dealing with
It's all the
brand.
liability stuff. Yeah.
But it's just by the brand. They sell knives. But
Yeah.
then I bought these razor knives for gutting my deer and all that stuff. And yep, good to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm walking out with 6 razor sharp blades.
Yeah.
And you don't need any information on me. Or
Yep.
you could always give a fake birthday, what have you. But
Oh,
I just
yeah.
thought that was strange. But yeah, I love that store, man. And when they they doubled the size on it when I put that Ferris wheel in there and stuff. And I bought a ground blind there that I've only used like twice. You know, I wish I had more of the outdoor drive that you guys have. But I do a bunch of other things, you know, as well. I've only been out deer hunting once this year. We've been real busy with events and things like that. And I was going to try, you know, yesterday to today and tomorrow. And then I'm like, man, if I got a deer today.
Oh, that's how I am too.
I'd be hanging it there. And we're trying to film this here.
Yeah.
Staring at a deer hanging.
So I told, and I got to make a bunch of food because I offered, you know, this time to do Thanksgiving at home here and stuff, and got a few people coming. But I was like, I'm going to delay my deer hunting until next year, even though the rut's darn near done, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting close. But it was so warm for so long that I think it's pushed back a little ways. I think so. I think you're still going to catch a couple that are rutting around for sure.
Well, in that land that a friend of mine has, there's some shooters walking around there quite a bit. It's just, you know, is it going to be at 4 a.m. or when I'm sitting there? Kind of deal.
We saw a lot of shooters last weekend. We saw some big deer out west.
What's the biggest deer you've shot? Do you measure the Boone and Crockett and all that kind of stuff?
So I've never shot anything big enough to measure. I'd say this year was the nicest deer that I've ever shot with my bow. Nothing special, just a nice 6x5. He had a split brow tine, that's why he was a 6. But other than that, I saw a huge deer get killed last weekend. That was beyond that, nothing worth. They all taste good though.
Yeah.
So,
I've got no problem shooting a doe if I can get some meat, because we process meat and stuff right here in the hog house. You know, got that gambro hanging there and nothing. I just got to say, I love doing all kinds of things in the hog house here, but there's nothing like having a deer that's been hanging there cold, and then you heat up the hog house and then you start skinning it.
Yeah.
And just on the big table out there, just start processing with friends, have a couple drinks, and maybe start smoking some meat later that day. I love that.
We just did that in Mike's house when you were at work. So he shot 2 deer out west, and my other buddy shot a deer. So we had 3 deer, and we cut it all off the bone, ground up a lot of it, cut steaks, roast, all that. It was a good time. I enjoy doing that type of stuff. I know a lot of people don't, and you have the people that just take it to Renner Corner, and I want the whole thing turned into jalapeno cheddar sticks. But don't get me wrong, those are the best sticks around.
Yeah. But you don't get your own meat back on an operation that's that big, I don't think.
And I would say it's different too. Like if you're going to take your whole deer in, I think you're better off waiting, deboning it all, putting it in Ziploc bags, and then taking it in. I think you do get you get your deer back, because
when they're not so busy.
And they weigh it out. You have 54 pounds of deer. Okay, well, if you only get back, if you only get back 20 pounds, and and then you get only charged for 20 pounds, it's not your deer. But it comes back every time, and I think that's the key, is deboning it yourself, and it's also a lot cheaper. I mean,
I was going to ask you if you do process your own, like summer sausage sticks, all that kind of stuff.
We do jerky, so I found like the best way is to grind the venison and then do like the jerky cannon and do it on cookie trays. I think that's the best way to do deer jerky. Other than that, you can't beat the sticks at Renner Corner. I mean, they're phenomenal.
So I've heard they're good.
Yeah, we take. And it's also a lot cheaper, because if they just have the meat and they can grind it right there, they only charge, I think, like $20 or 20. Don't quote me on it, but $20 or $25 per quarter. So if you just bring in, a whole bunch of meat, they're only going to charge you $50, and then whatever it is per batch. So it's so much cheaper than the skinning, throwing everything away, like all that. I don't even know how. I mean, I'm sure people have to have minimum $400 into dropping a whole deer off at Renner or anywhere. I mean, anywhere.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
I've heard horror stories of people going and saying they want all this stuff at, down in T or wherever. And next thing they know, they have an $800 bill for one deer.
Yeah.
So you might as well just bought beef and filet mignon from IV.
Yeah. Do you help on any of that kind of stuff?
I mean, like I don't really love the gutting process, only like certain parts of it. But as far as like the deboning and all the grinding you guys do, like I don't really care about it. I feel like they have such a system that I don't really I'm not adding any value other than like
netting walleye.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm just not adding any value quite yet.
Retired.
So, yeah, no, but I mean, we did it in our front lawn for your buck. And yeah, I grew up with all that stuff though, so it doesn't really like bother me, but I don't really like have my hands deep in it either.
I try to do it when you're not home too.
Yeah, because Justin does it in the dog area where I don't want him to do it. So he tries to avoid getting in trouble for doing that and making sure it's cleaned up well.
By the time she gets home.
Yes. Yeah. No.
Forgiveness instead of permission.
I got a tarp now. That I'll put down so it'll be a lot cleaner.
The issue is we have a lot of wildlife in our area and we still live in town. So like we can't just, I mean, I'm sure our neighbors think we are so crazy and our poor trash people. I mean, we have every species of everything in there.
I do feel bad for that guy.
And I mean, like, and even our friend, like Tiffany, when she comes over and cleans, like, she just never knows, like, what's going to be laying in our lawn, like, in our front area. And it's either frozen or if it's warm out, we've, like, tried to put it in the trash. And it's just, I feel like, and then we have wildlife. So, like, we just have to make sure we, like, do it right and clean it up well, or we will attract all the animals that we don't want.
Neighborhood cats,
Yeah.
raccoons. The raccoons haven't been bad lately. But when we first moved in, I have never seen raccoons like that. I mean,
wild.
tons of huge raccoons, just tearing apart. Next thing you know, your garbage is just everywhere, all the way down the street. And
Well, here's an offer. I don't know if you live on the south side of town, it's closer or whatever, but I just throw all my stuff on the north side of the Grove. Coyotes come clean it up, whatever. So
Yeah.
you come out and drop couple buckets of guts and have a couple drinks in the hog house here.
I should. I should.
We had,
You can
what,
save a little
8
bit that way.
geese laying there yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, I picked those up.
Yeah, they were. We had somebody come over and I was like, "Oh, I forgot those geese were there," and I was like, "I don't know if I should like bring it up or just hope you don't look at it because like they're breasted out and they're just laying there." And I was like, "Well, that's whatever." No.
That's funny.
So we've talked about the early life, the military life, the dogs and dog training, and you don't plan on stopping that anytime soon. That sounds to me like you're going to do that till the day you die.
Yeah, it will always like be a part of my life. Like, you like bringing up Shields. I do a lot of stuff with Shields. Justin doesn't do anything with Shields anymore. It's just I took over his spot. No, but like I'm a pro staff there, and like a lot of my dogs will do stuff there, and I just did like a Christmas shoot for them because not a lot of people have trained dogs that can do fun like ads and stuff. So
So we're going to see you on TV? Is that what you're saying?
No, but I've been in a lot of Shields like ads. They repost a lot of my photos, and I don't
Even
know.
the flyer. You were in the hunting flyer too one time.
Yeah, Shields is a great company. Like I was just on Shields' outdoor podcast on what month was that?
I think it was June or something because you
Yeah,
were in Fargo.
Yeah, I was in Fargo.
So this is not your first podcast.
It isn't.
Look
No.
at that.
I was on a dog training one, a really reputable dog training one early on in my career, and then I've done a few little like hunting dog ones before, but yeah, I was just at Fargo, and that was super fun because it was my first like video one, and we talked about dogs and dock diving and Shields and stuff because I do so much with Shields. But no, I've been like in a lot of Shields stuff, especially with like my Instagram's growth. But our Shields, I'm just like so loyal to them because we have such a good crew there, and like Shields is a Christian business, Paws is a Christian business. So we'll do like similar, what am I trying to say? Like not raffles, but we'll do like things where we can give back to the community together and we'll like team up. Or we'll bring like puppies for their staff to play with, or I'll just bring like some of my clients there to train around distractions. And then like if they ever need any photos or videos of things, they just ask for my dogs.
Customers remember that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Giving back to the community. We were talking about
Yeah.
my two daughters out here before we started, and one of them has bought a art supply store up there.
Yeah.
And she talked about, how they're giving back to the community up there. And customers, they really get a sense of who cares and who's
Absolutely.
just in it for the buck.
Yeah.
And there's
So-
a reason. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out. But there is a reason that Shields keeps building stores, and all these other companies are closing them up. And I firmly believe that. I mean, they're building tens of millions of dollars in stores and then not closing any up, and their stores are just thriving. I mean, go into Shields anytime from October 1st till way after Christmas and see how packed it is. I mean, it's just people and people and people.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Shields does a great job of involving the community, and it just correlates with Paws because Paws Pet Resort was created to be a revenue source for charity. So a portion of all of our proceeds go to charity. And in the almost 7 years, we've donated over $500,000 to charities. So like people definitely come to us and support us. Like we have like, we have two charities that always stay with us, and we have two local or non-local, but we have two rotating charities. So like our staff can help pick, or if we have something we're super passionate about. But one of the ones that we always donate to is Mission Haiti, and like we're funding like we fund like the orphanage for a year, or we'll do like a Christmas party for them. And our staff and our clients just love it because they're a part of something much bigger than we just say we're in the charity business. We just do it via dogs. And I feel like Shields is very similar because we've just been a part of them, so much of them giving back to the community and doing so much like personable things. So yeah, I really enjoy our Sioux Falls Shields.
And nobody sponsors these podcasts. Shields is not sponsored this thing.
Yeah.
This is true talk here.
Yeah, we're just, I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty loyal to the Shields brand just because they have such a good crew. And like a lot of people that started with Justin with the customer service and stuff, I mean, they're like,
they're still there.
They're store leaders and they're doing the things. And, you know, like it's just, yeah, you just feel like family when you go in there, and they know my dogs by name. And you know, sometimes we'll like not bring a dog in there to like make it go quicker. And then everyone's questioning me why we didn't bring a dog in. But it's like, sometimes I don't want to be with my dog. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got a question for you on the military side.
Yeah.
What has made you the most proud about being in the military? And I'll add to that where, you know, I don't know when the last time is you've worn your blues, but will you see yourself in the blues? What goes through your mind there?
Yeah, I think it's just proud putting the uniform on. I mean, not many people can do it. And every time, like even just going to guard drill, you're like, you just feel like you're doing what you're meant to be doing when you put your uniform on. That's how I feel, at least. You know, you're always proud wearing it. I just feel proud, honestly. That's the biggest thing for me when I put it on.
And it seems to me that you are more than ready to be home alone for an extended period of time when it comes time for him to have to be overseas somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like we both have just been like supportive in each other's like career choices and in each other's hobbies. Like, I don't feel like neither one of us are here to like hold each other back. And I mean, like, yes, the first winter I went through of living in this big house that I've never done was when Justin was gone. And that was quite the experience of learning all the things about owning land and snow blowing and mice and things like that you just like don't have. But I feel like if I can make it through that, like I can make it.
We're way more well prepared now.
Yeah, we're well prepared. I had to learn it all, and we're ready to rock.
I think when I was doing my creeping, I found something that is, I had it worded good there for a second and I kind of lost it. There's something that you need to work on when you two are driving, when you're traveling somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Somebody like loses attention pretty quickly.
I have stopped doing that. Justin.
I wouldn't say stopped. I would say reduced.
So what is it that I'm talking about?
Oh, Sami falls asleep. Used to be as soon as we pull out of the driveway. We're going somewhere, sleeping.
I think it was your Instagram. I think there was a bunch of pictures.
It was on Facebook.
Yeah, one time Justin posted all my sleeping photos that he has taken over all these years, and they're brutal.
They weren't all in 1 month?
No. It was a very popular post. So. People still talk about it.
I feel like that scarred me, and I was like, I'm not going to sleep But no, but I very rarely fall asleep in the car anymore unless like
Unless,
I used to be the person that I'd like get in the car, we'd drive 40 minutes to our duck spot and I'm sleeping and then I'd wake up and then on our way back the sun would just hit me. But it goes back to when I was riding around with my dad, like in between pheasant fields, I'd have like my head laid up against the glass of the window and the sun would beat in at like 2:00 and I'd be sleeping in between the field pushes and
now I know where she got it from because I've gone with her dad, just me, a couple times now, and we were just coming home. This was just like a couple weeks ago, and next thing I know, he was watching the baseball game on his phone. He's just up watching it, and the next thing I know, he's just hunched over, and I'm like, oh. Now I know. Now I know where she gets it from.
Yeah. No.
Taking photos of people when they're sleeping in a car and when they're eating, you get all kinds of different, maybe not so flattering type photos.
I feel like if anything, Justin knows now to like not take photos of me sleeping. Or I feel like the worst is out there, so it probably can't get worse.
No, you're fine.
But yeah.
Well, life's about relationships, and that's extending the relationships there.
Yeah. I feel like if we can survive Justin not bringing snacks deer hunting, me knocking the fish off with the net, and you posting that, I think we're pretty steady.
Smooth sailing.
Yeah. We have the big, it's funny because when we got married, a lot of people heard all these funny stories, like the deer hunting snack one or the sleeping one. Or
Staying in hotels.
Staying in hotels. That's Justin and I's biggest fight is Justin will sleep anywhere under the sun. Like it could literally just be like a bed on a floor and they're sketchy and I don't know what's happening there. And he goes for the cheapest option. And sometimes I just want to be like safe and have a clean bed. And he also tries to make us go tent camping at dog sports. So yeah, we have some funny stories that go into those things.
Is cheaper the better. I'll stay anywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. One time we were at a dog tournament we were going to, and Justin did not want to spend money on a hotel and also have to drive.
It's just my one, that and car problems. Paying a lot of money for a hotel is just it just blows my mind.
Right.
I just don't like it.
Especially the prices nowadays.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're staying in Kadoka this upcoming weekend. I got them all the way down to $70 a night. I'm like, I'm okay with paying that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still probably pretty gross.
America's Best Value Inn, so it's called. It's got to be nice.
Yeah, no, we went to this dog weekend, and he didn't want to pay for the hotel or have to drive. So he's like, well, let's just tent. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm not against tenting. And the issue is we left at 9 p.m. So we're setting up. We get there at midnight, and we set up this tent. And then Justin's like, okay, we have to walk 2 blocks to blow up the air mattress. And I was like, okay. So he blows up the air mattress. And Justin's not a very good packer. He's not a very good supplier, the snacks, things like that. I'm very
I pack what I need.
I'm type A. I'm we have to have a plan. I'd rather have something and we don't need it than be crap, we don't have this. So Justin did not think about bringing all the essentials for this tent and the mattress, and he blows the air mattress up and he carries it back to the tent, and it doesn't fit in the tent because there's no way to get it in. So we're
I couldn't carry the tent either because it's just one of those small ones with the 2 poles.
Yeah. So
every time you pick it up, they just go flat. So then I can't drag. And then of course the outlet on our campsite was broken. There's literally no outlet.
Otherwise you'd have been fine.
Otherwise we've been fine.
Yeah.
So then I had to hike all the way down to the next campsite to get the air mattress blown up, and then I had to walk it all the way back.
And then we had to taco it, and then Justin and I
let some of the air out.
Yeah, and literally there was no room in that tent other than the air mattress. So the dogs just walked right.
Everybody on the air mattress.
Everybody on the air mattress.
Their claws pop the thing? Or
no,
we keep
still
their have it.
Yeah, we keep their nails pretty short. And they're so used to weird sleeping situations. We've tented in worse, I feel with storms and stuff, that they're pretty used to. They're just all right, I'm here. This is what we're doing this weekend. Yeah.
And once a year, we go down to Arkansas every year to duck hunt, and we sleep somewhere in the truck stop parking lot every year.
Do you have a Duck Dynasty call?
I don't, no.
You don't?
No.
I figured maybe you had 2 or 3 of those things.
No, I kind of, no, I don't have any Duck Dynasty calls. I never really got on the Duck Dynasty thing. I know a lot of people, and that's what blew up duck hunting. I mean, it really did. But I never really got into I think they're hilarious. And I think that, like, what an awesome marketing thing for them,
Yeah.
you know.
And we don't have cable, so I've seen very few episodes.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
and they're strong Christian people.
Yeah.
That's
Very.
one thing I like about
They
it.
are.
Yeah, I follow Sadie Robertson a lot, and I like all of her books and stuff. And yeah, they always put out really valuable things. And yeah, I think
Well, do you know he played football? He played quarterback with Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah, I did know that.
There's a guy I listened to down in Texas, and he had mentioned, or he had interviewed Terry Bradshaw just last month or whatever, but talked about Phil Robertson or whatever, and Terry was like, yeah, the guy would show up. He would have his hunting stuff on. Apparently Phil was pretty good.
Really
You
good,
know,
yeah. Back in the day.
Yeah, pretty wild.
yeah.
So, being young people, married, no kids, it's rude for people to ask about any of that kind of stuff, but I got a different question for you. And let's just imagine that you have some great grandkids, people you'll never meet, and you've got 25 of them sitting underneath that center camera there. You can go first, Justin. What would you like to tell those people?
Oh, that's a good one. I would like to say hard work will get you anywhere, no matter what. If you want it, it's out there and you can go get it. That'd be the one thing that I would have to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's not about what you know, it's who you know. But if it's out
That's
there,
my line.
if it's out there, you can go get it. And I fully, you see people every day that came from absolutely nothing, and now they're, awesome people.
And they took some risks.
And they
as
took
well.
some risk. Yeah, doesn't hurt to take a risk.
Yeah. Sammy Joe, how about you?
I would say to appreciate the people in your life, like give grace and love people hard, and also like live passionately and live bravely. I feel like you can tell when people who have passion behind things and they have passion behind everything, like even just walking in here, like I can tell this is such a passion, and I love listening to people what they're passionate about, because you're gonna have way more of a fun conversation than just some random things, and to live brave with those things. So if you can be passionate, you can be brave, you can do anything.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't even warn you guys about that. It just sounded like you were prepared.
Yeah.
No.
No, I feel like I try to like pick a word every year to like live through and everything, and I definitely lived through a season of like passions and doing those things, because I feel like that's how I've gotten to grow in the space that I have. I didn't say this, but like my Instagram that I run is quite I don't know the
Popular.
word, like, quite popular, and I feel like there's a lot of people out there like they're doing things like that are pretty fake about it. Like they'll maybe pay for ads or do things like that. But I just like put out what I love, and I put out my passions, and literally people have just like attracted to that, and it's very organic. So I feel like I've gone through a season of a lot of passion. So I feel like that's something that always comes to my mind when I can tell anybody like, hey, if you're just like living and you don't really have like a thing to be excited about when you get home from work, like find something that you can be passionate about so you can have that excitement and that drive.
Nice. Well, and that's kind of why I do this. You know,
Yeah.
I don't make money on it. I don't try to. If I ever met the parameters, I wouldn't turn it down. But this is I love getting to know people.
Yeah.
And some of the podcasts are pretty long, and people mention that, and I was like, yeah, they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And some are a little bit shorter, but I love getting to know people. And this is about you guys, your family, and your friends.
Yeah.
And that's all I really care about. Just making something that maybe you or family or great grandkids
Yeah.
can maybe see someday, and hear what you did in the military, and what you do with the dogs, and then the combined hunting and the fishing on his side only kind of deal. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so we talked about a bunch of subjects. Is there anything that we've missed that you'd like to touch on? That's probably the hardest question ever.
Yeah, that was a good question.
I mean,
No, I mean this question right here.
Oh, yeah.
Did
Yeah.
we miss anything?
I mean, I don't really have anything unless there's anything more with like hunting or fishing and like you said, like a lot of our hobbies are outdoors, and I feel like Justin and I are just like in a season of like just really putting our time and our money and our resources into those things. And I think Justin hunts a lot for like one thing I was gonna say with his fishing and even his hunting is the cool thing about like when he goes into fishing is they're always the youngest team there, and they're usually always the underdogs. And the one thing that Justin does very well is he might not be good at preparing like snacks and the things that are essentials, but he's very good at scouting. He's very good about preparing and having a plan and knowing. He knows animals very well of that sort. So like when it comes to hunting or fishing, like he has that really strong suit, and he loves to, I feel like, I guess I've never asked him this, but like I love that he probably puts it full circle of like prepping that and figuring that out, and then watching, the birds decoy or watching the deer walk out. Like he does that whole picture when like I feel like a big passion for hunting is the dogs. Like I love running my dog. I feel like if I had a decision of like go shoot one duck with your dog or go shoot an 8-man limit with not my dog, I would pick the one duck with my dog. And just because my dad, like he got me into hunting, and like I feel like every time I get the chance, like I want to spend all the years hunting with him so that I can just like keep carrying on that passion.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you're a pro at the essentials. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I am. And I mean, like even I'd say this past year, there's been quite a few times where I'm like, okay, I did that once and it didn't work. We're not going to do that again, and even fishing this year, I don't think there was one time that I wasn't either wearing a sweatshirt and sweatpants or a full blown rain suit. Like I think almost it rained at Lake Ponset. It rained at Dry Lake number 2. We got poured on the first day at Bitter Lake, that tournament. I mean, I think over half the year we were wearing our rain suits, and it just seemed like we could never, ever catch a break. And like the first day of that tournament that wind came up out of the north on Bitter, and that was a force to be reckoned with. I mean, we're in a 21-foot nitro, and those waves were just piling over the side. I mean, just smashing up over the side. And yeah, that day was all about making the right decision too. A lot of guys didn't make the right decision.
I feel like Justin and I have had also a lot of not a fair weather hunts as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably what separates us from the random people who hunt once or twice a year. And even some of the people that do that, like that can deal with the elements versus like it's the first season and it's during the season, it's the first cold snap and nobody wants to go out or whatever. Like we are pheasant hunting in rain. This weekend is going to be brutal cold. This last 2 days pheasant hunting was cold. And we just like, if we've got a plan and we're already there doing it, Canada, it rained a lot. Like it's just one of those things that we are usually prepared for those things, and it sucks. And usually if like we have to tap out, it's fine. But we definitely put in the work.
You find out how tough you are.
Yeah.
And that you can press yourself some instead of, feeling like you got to be warm in a living room all the time, because then you're just going to miss a lot of stuff.
Oh, you're going to miss a ton.
I did see a really cool picture. I'm presuming it was a waterfowl hunt or something, but you had a stand that was attaches to a tree, and there was water beneath it or something. Your dog sitting on there.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. That dog was just looking like it was just ready to go somewhere, but it was totally relaxed. But it's like all its muscles could just spring in action like that. That's what the feeling that picture gave me.
That's very accurate of who Tex is. He is a
100 miles
dog
an hour.
that he is so trained, and he will do his best to be the best boy, but you'll never catch him sleeping in a dog blind, because he is, and it's so funny because what I realized is that like I may handle the dog, but they cue off of Justin so much because they already know what he's saying and the pattern. So like my dog training mind's going crazy because you can always hear the cues and see the patterns and see these things. But the dog's just like, he'll be sitting here and he'll look to me to make sure that I'm keeping him in line for this. And then as soon as Justin will say, get ready or whatever, like the whole thing just switches. So like Tex never sleeps. He like, and then I also say Tex and Justin are not a good pair because Tex is wired and Justin is wired. So like when they're like chasing down a cripple or they're doing something, like Tex is like,
He loves it.
yeah, he just can't contain himself.
he can't.
Like it's fun to see, but yeah, you described Tex perfectly. He will sit there and he'll be a good boy, but you'll never catch him sleeping on the job.
I would for sure be the world's worst waterfowl dog handler by far.
Yeah.
It's just not.
But that's also why we like work out well because Justin can call. Justin knows a lot about waterfowl hunting, and I feel like I can prepare us in other ways, and I can run the dog. And Justin has realized that dogs are valuable for hunting.
I don't know how I used to do it. Like in that pond that we hunted, we shot 2 nice greenheads earlier on this year. I literally don't know how we would have retrieved any of those birds without Tex.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been marching across a muddy slough to go get them. And even when we jumped a whole bunch of snow geese on a pond this spring, I mean, we shot like 50, it was like 52 or like 55 in one go. And Tex would just trip after trip after trip. And I can only carry 5 or 6 back at a time, maybe 8 if I'm really hoofing it. And it's just, I learned, I'd say over the past like 2 years, I've learned how many more birds we've retrieved because of Tex.
Yeah. Well, and too, like, I think he's starting to realize that we have a well-oiled machine right now. Like, Tex he's incredible. He's the best dog ever. And we got a new puppy. And we're, like, sometimes it's hard. I love puppies first. I love dogs first. I love seeing the things click. And Justin is definitely more used to, like, okay, why is Zin not doing what Tex is doing? And I'm like, well, Tex has 7 years on Zin. Like,
and
Zin's
like 9 weeks old.
Yeah. Like he brings out and like makes him like pick up a bird and Zin like doesn't pick it up perfect. And he's like, why is he not picking it up? And I'm like, well, he's 9 weeks old. His mouth is tiny.
Well, you talked about cold weather a lot. Have you had some situations where you really had to, talking about how hard Tex worked gathering those geese, but it was cool enough. Have you had some times where you've really had to watch your dogs because of the heat?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, thank goodness I have an amazing vet who's in Sioux Falls, and he is just, he's kind of gone on to like being the gun dog doc. So he is a hunter himself, and he always puts out a ton of education about how to be a good dog handler when hunting and making smart moves, because so many people kill their dogs doing dumb things and they don't realize. And yeah, heat is one of the things he talks a ton about. And I mean, we talk about it too because like we have the education now, but people will bring their dogs out on pheasant opener when it's 92 degrees and run those dogs until they have heat stroke.
They haven't hunted at all. This dog just lays inside and
and then
they think,
it's
we're
just
gonna
too
go
hot.
hunt. We're gonna go run buck wild and hunt 7 fields today, and it's just not, your dog can't do it. And like she was saying too, we have our vet. I mean, he is amazing. I don't know. There's been quite a few times we hunt a lot. So like we run into a lot of things, like barbed wire and even just in Canada last year when Tex got overdone.
Yeah.
In the water. I mean, he physically could not do anything. Mentally he could. Physically he literally could barely walk.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And like he has put out he put out a whole educational course for dog owners with that. And but yes, like he's been an amazing resource because I've made smarter moves being a dog handler because, yeah, we live through them. But he's also a hunter. So he's like, I would play this. I would run your dog here, but, be smart here. So we're very grateful for that. And like I could not repay him for what he's taught me with that. But I feel like we don't run into maybe the heat situation because the heat and the cold, like I just want my dogs to be comfortable and I want them to be safe. So I try to play that really well. We were in Canada goose hunting and Tex will kill himself working, and we had a few Canadian geese down and they were crippled, and this one was he was too fast and there was too much happening in the field for Tex to really get a good eye. I mean, he got all the way across the field and I had ran Tex on a blind, and what usually happens is I'm running a blind or doing something and then geese start doing it, so I have to kind of like stop and all these things or whatever. So he ran really hard and he got that he got that bird, and I mean, he ran so far for that, and I just had to be like, okay, he's done. Like I was like, Justin, meet me halfway.
Yeah,
and
that
I
was
had
a
to
good call on her
I
part.
just had to have him
For
hold
sure.
it down, stay, and I was like, you do not move. I didn't have water on me because I was just running, and Justin met me halfway, and we sat there for 15 minutes while they brought in a couple more groups, and I just knew what to look for and
Right.
what to do that, because I knew that if we would run back or he would have carried that 5 more feet, I would have been going probably into heat stroke or doing those things. But
And it really wasn't even that hot. That's the other thing that people don't realize is there's still a dog. I mean, it was probably only 70. I mean, it was probably
Yeah,
70.
and like humidity
75.
plays into it, and
So you
just
really
all
don't
this-
Well,
think.
the strenuous exercise.
yeah.
Yeah,
they did.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, he's carrying
the
a
internal heat.
He's probably carrying a 9 or 10 pound goose that, you know, and
Yeah.
that's a fifth of his body weight, right?
Yeah.
It's like, think if, you know, I weigh 170 pounds and I'm carrying around, you know, that like a fifth of that all the time, like
yeah.
20% of that carrying around an extra 35 pounds all the time.
At full speed.
At full speed,
Yeah, you
full
know, like
tilt.
you're not
Not
doing
just walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So-
yeah, no, like we know how to keep prepared. I mean, we've probably done some things that were like, okay, we're not doing that again, like Justin said. But, you know, like I feel like if you're going to sign up to hunt with a dog, you're signing up to be a good dog owner. And the people who don't do that, I feel like shouldn't be hunting with their dogs. So we try to take that pretty seriously. Like I'm going to put Texas safety and Zen safety and all my dogs' safety first, and make sure that they are comfortable and happy, because that's
Keeping bad things from happening.
yeah,
Yeah.
doing the best that I can with that, you know, because obviously accidents will happen, but I just knock on wood, hope nothing wild will ever happen.
Right. Right. So you guys staying local for Thanksgiving?
We're going to shoot a deer. So
Sammy's going to shoot a deer.
yeah, I didn't shoot a deer 2 weekends ago. So
2 weekends ago now.
yep. So I have an any buck tag at West River. So I'm going to try to go out. So we're going to go to Thanksgiving for like an hour, and then we're going to go buzz out and either spend all weekend there or come back early, hopefully. So
You bet.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get it done Friday morning and then we're back and
then we have an actual weekend at home, which
Yeah.
would be nice.
it would
There
be.
you go.
Yeah.
Watch a movie once in a while.
Yes.
Make some supper. Hang back on the couch
Yep.
with
Yeah.
your dogs.
Yep.
With your how many dogs in your house?
We have 5.
Okay, I figured we better get that in there. So
Yes.
no surprise after hearing this for sure.
Yes. Yep. Nope. They're not all labs either. I have 2 black labs, German Shepherd, a Dalmatian, and a Corgi. So
Yep.
I think you would like seeing what a Dalmatian was actually bred for with like coaching by the horses. You would think that's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, because I've heard that that the reason that they were in the fire departments of old is because of their bond with horses.
Yeah.
And yeah, and just being a barrier to like the public, you know, when they're bringing the fire horses through, you know, just like going through that. But yeah, he's our first Dalmatian, and we love him. And yeah,
He can run. I mean, we ran a 5K with him, and he won't even start panting.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
just
he
the
is
endurance
so-
is insane.
His endurance is insane. He's so athletic. I mean, he can run and run and run.
Yeah,
And
he's very-
just like his actual, like driving the side by side, like kind of like a horse, he will stay perfectly right here. And like talking about what a dog is bred to do,
yeah,
he
he's
stays
very-
right here. He's not running ahead, running in front of it like the other dogs do.
yeah,
He stays right there.
That's
yeah.
cool.
Pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I saw some pretty cool pictures there. I'll put some of on here too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a cool dog. He's gotten us a lot of places too. People obviously recognize him because he's a Dalmatian. You don't see a lot of Dalmatians, and he's a therapy dog, so we go to hospitals and all of those things. But man, I mean, people ask for him to do things all the time because he draws so much attention, and he is just like the best boy. He's
Yeah.
a derp most of the time, but he's a really, really good boy.
Like he has they have, when they fill the pool up at Shields for the dock diving thing, they have the firefighters come, the Sioux Falls Fire and Rescue come.
Yeah.
I
And
can
then
see
they
some
have-
pictures of you with a black
Yeah.
lab jumping off.
Oh yeah, dock diving. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we'll
And then
before
they have
that.
Raymond.
Yeah.
They have Raymond come, and I mean, there is a line of kids there
Yeah.
to see Raymond, like a line of kids just
Yeah.
to meet him.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny
Yeah, it's really fun.
because we know Raymond is just like some goofy dog, and then
Who
all
likes
these
to cuddle? Yeah.
all
He-
these kids just cannot believe they're seeing a real Dalmatian.
But you know, like we're very big about like why dogs are bred, but also reputable breeders and stuff. And Raymond came from the best place ever. Very preservation breeder of breeding a dog for what it's bred for. And I mean, she's just another amazing resource we have because of our dog Raymond. And but the places that we've been able to go because of the dogs has been pretty cool. I mean, like a lot of the things that we've gotten to do is just because people know our dogs, or we get to go do it with the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For sure.
You guys don't sit around much.
we don't.
That's
I
cool.
feel like
I couldn't
we're.
tell you last time we were home for a weekend.
No, like it's kind of bad. Like sometimes we're just like, we get home at like 9:30 at night, and we go to bed, and we gone all day the next day, and we go long spurts where we're just never home. And yeah, it's
like a John Wayne thing. You're burning daylight, and there's plenty of time for sleeping in the grave.
Exactly.
Yep, that's what my dad always says. You can sleep when you're dead.
Exactly.
So that's kind of our vibe.
Yeah.
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 All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming and doing this.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it all that long ago, a couple months ago,
Yeah.
something like that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that it worked out.
Yeah. This is fun.
That's awesome.
You bet.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for being here, and thanks for watching.